Okay, we're going to try this one yet again. My, wouldn't that mine could be no matter where you are in the world. Uh, we have a brief visitor.
It's working. I'll check it out.
Yeah, if you want to check, because I'm having some technical difficulties this morning. There we go. Okay, I can hear myself now. Okay, I can hear myself now. Okay, I can hear myself now. Yeah, now I'm hearing an echo. Okay. I don't know what happened with that first live stream, but everything seemed to finally get back together and get everything working correctly. So my apologies about the glitch, the delay, and everything else. Uh, Good morning, Mr. Brennan. How you doing today? How bad is it in Arizona today? That I've actually got an app for that. Uh, wow. I see you made it to over 115 today. That Yeah, that's one thing I do not miss about Arizona is the summers out there. That and last year was just on stinking believable. And actually, for you guys to be, for it still be hitting 101 this late at night is kind of unreal. That You're gonna have to excuse me a second. I'm gonna have to see if I can do this without screwing things up too awful badly. Uh, there we go. There's another friend of mine that I know from a while back that I told him I'd started sending him invites as well. And him and I were actually just chatting here a few minutes before this. So I just sent him a lot. Just sent him a link to the today's live stream. That the one drawback to the Philippines, I said I was going to go out and try and fly this morning before the live stream. I normally get up about 5 o'clock our time, and that's actually about sun up here year round. And I was going to go out and fly the drone, but it was raining all morning, and it finally just started to clear up. So I may run out for a little bit afterwards and give it a shot, or I may just wait till tomorrow morning and give it a shot. Unfortunately, I didn't get a whole lot of editing done today. That I'm starting to try and use that time to do editing so that I can start posting videos yet again. That it's been way too long since I've actually posted a new video. Uh, and I'm starting to go out and get a little bit of footage just from the different live streams that I do. Afterwards, I'll go take a little bit of video. Yesterday, I intended to go up to the rooftop deck and do a video there real quick and post it, but some other things came up, or rather, were trying to come out, and I needed to get back to the condo, get back to the townhome real quick, and use the CR. That not in love with public toilets in the Philippines. In SMC side, probably wouldn't be that bad, any different than any mall. But I'm not terribly big into public facilities, no matter where they are in the world. Just a personal hang up of mine. Almost wound up doing the live stream through Streamlabs, but that was the one that came up and didn't have any sound. So I don't know what was going on with that. Everything was correct. And I changed nothing other than just going through YouTube today, but there was no sound being put into Streamlabs. So I don't know what was going on with that one. It worked fine the other day. I'll figure that one out here pretty quick. There was a little bit of footage that I wanted to show you today, but I still haven't came up with a video player that works as an open window in Streamlabs. So I need to figure that out before I do too much anyhow. That brute force method works, but not terribly great. So until I can get better with it, you guys are just gonna have to bear with me. My apologies. I'm certain there's got to be a plugin or an app somewhere to make it work better, or at least a different video player to make it work better. One of the links I was talking about was actually talking about playing videos in the internet browser, and I haven't quite figured that one out yet. So I need to figure that one out. But one of the subscribers made comment about in the comments about having lived in Cebu back in 2005 for a while. And so I was trying to nail down a little bit better on the location to come up with just someplace different to go walk and explore. That I know the walking videos are a lot of fun to do, and I know you guys enjoy them a lot. And because of that, I try to not walk the same area time and time again. That can get boring. And walking Filipino streets, walking streets in the Philippines is kind of a new experience every stinking time. But I do like to try and explore different areas. Kind of like we went down to SMC side area yesterday. It had been a few months since I walked Puente Circle, and that was kind of fun to do. I thought about going back over to the area where the condo is and checking that out, seeing what changes, if any, is in that area. And as any of you guys that's been here know, that scoping these areas out, I also need to find some realistic means of parking in that area, or if there's absolutely no means of parking, scheduling my time well enough to take a cab over there. And I've done that before too. I've taken a cab to some place just because there was no parking in that area. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas, suggestions, desires to see different areas, new areas on these walking live streams, please feel free to comment, and I will do everything I can to see about scoping it out and doing a live stream from that area. If there's a mall or a shopping center of some kind nearby, that actually works really well, because I can park in those. And taking Rusi over to them, which is what I normally ride, I don't need a whole lot of parking, but I do need some. A couple of times I've done my Ngabi'i Jojo, that I was just kind of talking about you. I've done a couple of videos where I just parked on the street, and that is doable in some areas, but not every area. Surprisingly, a lot of areas. Jojo. Now, I want to go back, Brandon, I definitely want to go back to Carbone. I tried that one day a few months ago and it failed horribly. The signal was horrible. And Cindy, this was early on in her pregnancy, and the smell from that area just horribly turned her stomach in an instant. And I didn't get hardly any video from that area. Mama, Papa are due to be back 1st of October, some time frame. And so it may wait for that long, but I definitely will be going back down to Carbone and at least giving it a try with the smart sim. That one may be a little bit of a challenge because of internet access, but I am at least going to give it a try. And what I'll do is I will take, smells are horrible for her right now, especially those strongest smells. And so many different conflicting smells in that area. It does a number on my stomach some days. But I will take cameras so that Papa and I can at least do a video from that area. There's another public market nearby here. All I can come up with is Tallahoe, and that's not it. But it's actually one of the bigger public markets in Cebu. I'm looking at the name of it. That it's just outside of Tabunok, Tabunok. It really helps if you actually click into that comment area before you start trying to write a comment. There we go. There we go. That's actually got a, I wonder if I can do this. That's actually the name of a public market. See, this is why I really wish I had that Streamlabs working today. I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. Hey, it did. That's the name of it, and that's the Google link to Tabunok Public Market. Hey, Jojo. You said that you were here in 2005. If you're willing, and you can do it in private, by private message if you would like, if you can shoot me a landmark reference that I can go back to, I would love to do tomorrow's live stream from that area, either one of you are staying at, and just kind of give you a wow, a 16-year update. Wow. That, like I said a little bit earlier in this, that I keep looking for different places to go exploring. Good morning, Mr. Daniel. How you doing today? You had perfect timing because I was just asking questions. If anybody on here has suggestions, desires of different places to explore. But Brandon, I may try the Tabuna Public Market by myself here in a little bit. I will probably go down and just check it out and check signal strength to see whether or not I can do it. I got street names, but I didn't get the actual area of the streets, and both those streets are actually pretty long. That I actually replied to that comment today that I'd been dropping the ball here. My apologies, everybody, on comments. Brandon, actually, one of these days that I'm going to be hopefully soon, I'll be going over to Moab and doing some scuba diving. I got with that guy and am actually starting to do a little bit of diving. We went the other day, Tuesday, I showed a little bit of real quick footage from the dive. I'm getting more comfortable diving again. Unfortunately, my BC took a crap. The attachment for the low pressure inflate deflate just disintegrated and came off. We may take you up on that offer, Daniel. So in the fitting I've got, the low pressure hose connector I've got, the fitting is an oddball size for oceanic equipment, which isn't terribly common here. And I've ran into this problem in the past. So I'm going to get with the gentleman that he's a dive master and a tech as well. No drinking until after the dives. No diving under the influence, no DUIs. I'm going to see about getting the more standard size low pressure adapter so I can just rent VCs. We talked about getting me a new one here, and they're pricey enough. I'm just not going to do it here right now, at least. I've got some oral surgery I need to schedule. She's got the labor and delivery we need to pay. And so until all of our expenditures kind of settle out, that getting a new BC is just kind of not in the market right now. And the main thing I want to dive with is my regulator and my dive computer. That I've got a dive computer that's a wireless dive computer. I've got one of the old BT3s. And if we get back into diving and start diving more regularly, when we go back to the States, I may look at upgrading that. I don't know. And a little bit of it will depend on how much Cindy wants to dive with us, because we've got her a computer that started out as my son's. But when he kind of gave up diving, that we just bought all the equipment from him. Yeah, I kind of paid for it twice, but you know, hey, it made everybody happy that way. That actually diving isn't as scary as a lot of people think it is. The people that make Daniel's comment, and more of the dive shops here are doing it. They've got this thing called Discover Scuba that you set through a 20, 30 minute video session and answer some questions. And then some dive instructors get with you and help you get suited up, help you get kitted up. And then under very controlled environment. Usually back in the States, it's in a pool. Here, a lot of times they'll take you into a cove or something like that that's not quite as choppy or anything like that, and let you do a little dive in fairly shallow water. And that way you get to experience it in as controlled of an environment as you can. The one thing I am really hard thinking about getting, and scuba diving is not for everybody. You know, the period in to say it, it's just not for everybody. My ex-wife tried it and could not get past a lot of the skills that it took. And so she just chose never to do it. That was something my son and I did for a few years. And if you've got a group that you can dive with, you're right, that makes it way more fun and way more enjoyable. Yeah, I desperately need a haircut that I'm waiting for Papa to get back, and we'll do a haircut video. And that's actually what I'm looking at building here is getting more involved with the dive community here. That we got my son and I got lucky. My son and I got lucky. We actually certified in a lake nearby Phoenix. Well, Lake Pleasant. And we dove Lake Pleasant for about a year before we went out diving in the open ocean. And that helped a lot build skills and build confidence. And the other day, diving out in the open ocean again. And this is something because of an incident that happened while we were being certified. I am horribly uncomfortable unless I know where everything is underwater. And so diving new areas is something that is a challenge for me. When we went, the dive master I was diving with, that he was super comfortable with buoyancy and knew down to the ounce what he needs for weight. And so he was just able to weight correctly without the BC. Well, so I just used his BC. My compass was attached to the BC. So the first dive, I didn't have any compass. I didn't have anything. I had no idea where I was. And a couple times I got nervous. Yeah, Jojo, I've had a couple of experiences like that. Surprisingly, I don't like to swim. I am not a big fan of swimming. I love to snorkel and I enjoy scuba diving, but I am not a fan of swimming. But swimming pools, we had one for a couple of years at a place we rented, and other than going in and splashing around a couple times, the pool never did get used. Almost bought a house with a pool. In a lot of ways, I'm glad I didn't. In a few ways, I wish I did. But on the second dive, I got my compass back and was able to take a compass heading and know where we were going and know where shore was. And I'd keep an eye on it periodically. I'd look at it and make sure I knew where I was going. And that was my biggest thing, is I needed to know where I was at and where I was going. Boat diving can sometimes be a really bad concern for me because it can be so hard to find the boat, even if you know a compass heading to go in, because you're trying to find a fairly small thing. Yeah, I've heard of a lot of people that got taught swimming that way, and it either works really well or it's truly horrible and it never works. And way more often it never works. Uh, that we actually took my son, my niece is a swimming instructor. That she went through high school and stuff as a and worked at the local pools and the Ys as a swimming instructor. And that's how he learned to swim so he could learn to dive. Cindy is way more comfortable in the water now than when we first met. When we first met, she was willing to learn, but had no idea. And I've got some photos of her that I taught her to back float over a Moab wall when we were on our honeymoon. And that was the start of her love affair with the water. That now she can swim a lot better. She loves snorkeling. She loves scuba diving. Still kind of doggy paddles and splashing around trying to swim. But with a snorkel kit on, that she is perfectly fine, more so than I am even. Now, Daniel, that's one thing I've always wanted to do is learn to sail. I am really surprised sailing is not more popular here, but realizing the type of islands that the Philippines has, I can kind of understand a little bit on that, because you need a trimaran to get close to any of these islands, and those can be horribly expensive. I guess up by Clark and in Manila, that there's a couple of marinas that are a little bit deeper water to have sailboat mooring. And somewhere here in Cebu, I guess there's an area you can moor sailboats. Yes, autocorrect is never my friend or always my friend, one of the two. We have a severe love-hate relationship. What I've seen a couple people do, and I know that there are some of the other Pacific Island tribes that do this as part of their tribal thing. And I guess the Bajau people have some, that the banca boats, the little outrigger boats that the Filipinos stereotypically have. I guess you can do a sailing setup on those. And obviously not this trip and probably not in the near future. But at one point, I would love to get one of those. And even if it's just a fun little day sailor, get something like that and just play around going out. And that would be something really cool that, Pumpkin could kind of grow up with too. When we were, I got Moab while on my head. When we were down at Oslo a few years back, that we rented a place there, and again, it had a beachfront outlook. And then this last year, when we were down to Argel del Huarte, that they had a place, and yeah, watching sunrises or you don't see the sunset, but watching the dusk over the ocean like that is way cool. When we were in Moab, we had a balcony that I went out and watched that a lot. That was stinging awesome. That's one cool thing too, Cebu, is you can get out here and in the morning you can come on this side of the island and watch sunrises, go spend the day playing in the mountains, and then go over to the other side of the island and watch sunset over the ocean in the same day. That I really enjoy staying here. I haven't seen that movie in years. You may have just came up with a movie rental for tonight. Cindy and I have taken to watching YouTube, Amazon, Netflix, all that movies at night, and just kind of hitting the sack pretty early. One thing that's kind of strange here, and especially from coming up and growing up in the upstate New York, and then even in Arizona, and for you, Daniel, that it's got to be really bad. The change of season, the lengthening and shortening of days. Here you have 12-hour days year round. I want to do this as a project, and it's going to be a year-long project. I've started to a couple times and have just never been happy with the way it was turning out. Our house in Phoenix, that you can see the difference in the position of sunrise between June and December by quite a bit. And I'd like to go out and do the 2 photographs each day, one at the time of sunrise at equinox, so that you have every day's at the same time, and then go do a second photo at the as the sun rises. And that's the one I keep having trouble with, because you're trying to take a picture of the sun, and I don't have the correct filters for the camera to do that. And it just comes out so horribly overexposed that it's hard to correct, and I don't, and I'm afraid of damaging the camera without the correct filters. Top of Cebu, we've been there a couple times, and I don't know. That might be the problem with going up into the mountains like that is, one, signal strength, but also going to someplace like Top of Cebu. I've got like an hour to try and take up and show different things and to be with that. Although that would be some amazing views to do a live stream from. Jojo, I've never been to the After Dark. I hadn't thought of that. That may be something kind of cool to go do, even locally. I'm just not terribly sure. I want to go down that hill after dark. But yeah, even Daniel, even in upstate New York, that right around the beginning of summer, right around June 21st, the end of June, it would be dusk. The sun would have set, but a little bit of light still going until 8, 9 o'clock at night. Mama and Papa were actually kind of surprised. They came out there in October, just after the beginning of fall, and stayed until after the first, until after the first of the year. So they got to see the winter solstice, and Papa was a little surprised at how much shorter the days got. Again, yeah, I'm hoping to get up there into some of those areas and do some of that flying, JoJo. And that's why I've made up my mind. I've got to start doing things to get more comfortable. And I've sworn up and down I was going to do this a couple times and start learning to use this equipment way better. And it's a work in progress, but I am making progress. And I've thought about doing some of that because I've got a ton of footage that isn't good enough footage to make a video of, but it's good enough footage to do like Rod does, do a voiceover. And I've got some footage that's great for getting together a video. I just need to get off my freaking butt and do it. But yeah, that I really need to start doing that. And that's part of the other thing I'm doing is 2 days a week. I'm planning, hoping to fly the drone first thing in the morning, either locally, right here in the compound, or jumping on Rusi and finding some of these nearby places to continue practicing, so that I can make a day trip and go up to Tops or something like that and get good footage. And then 3 days a week, I got editing time scheduled. That today, because of the rain, I didn't get either the drone time or the editing done. So I just got distracted. I need to get way better out of that. When plans don't go as planned, I need to get way better about getting better arrangements. Now, there's a couple of hotels right up there, Daniel. There's actually a couple of hotels right up there by Tops that might be kind of a cool thing. And the after Cindy gives birth, it may be a neat thing for her and I to just do locally, so that we could go up there and just spend the night away, so that her and I could get a little bit of private time away again. But it would still be close enough if we needed to get home quick for Pumpkin, we could. Yeah, Daniel, it would be. You're coming up on the fall, the equinox. So yeah, the day are getting a lot shorter. You're starting to have days like we do, about 12 and 12. Jojo, I've been told by a few people, especially when I concentrate on what I'm saying, that I do very good narration. I've repeatedly been told that one of the Bible study groups that I used to attend, I was constantly getting tapped to do the Bible reading to open with, and finally I asked, and everybody just said they love hearing the way I read. So after that, I kind of made peace with it, made sure I read it well and knew it well enough so that I could get through without any stumbles. But yeah, that's something that I need to do. If you guys have ever paid any attention that we do a secondary channel, we actually do 3 different channels. You see Cindy comment on here is Team Row Shorts. She does a lot of the YouTube shorts on that channel. Just kind of is highlights of what's going on with us. And then I also do a Bills to Phoenix moto vlog, and I do the voiceover narration in that, and it's kind of cool because I can get the mic down. That I can get the mic down and actually speak into it quite well like this, so that I can hear, so that you can hear it really well. And that way it doesn't bother people it's not a distraction in the corner of the video watching. And that way I'm not trying to project quite as well as I am right now. We should be here until at least February, March, realistically. And there's every realistic possibility in, it's probably the most realistic scenario that we're going to be here until May, June. After Pumpkin's born, we need to get, and I've checked with the consulate, and they do have to have the actual PSA birth certificate on file before they can issue official paperwork. One person, not from the consulate, said that you can sometimes get them to start paperwork if you have the hospital record, but they won't complete it until you give them the actual PSA copy birth certificate. And then for the Philippines government to get their passport, we do have to have the hospital or the PSA birth certificate. So we have to get that first. And I've been told that it can be up to 4 months before you can actually get that back sometime. Cindy and I have already talked about it. We're going to get a couple copies. We're going to get at least 2, probably 4 copies of the hospital record. And Papa and I are going to run a copy of the hospital record to the Philippines Statistics Agency, the PSA. And we've been told that will expedite processing. And then 4 to 6 weeks after they get a copy of it, we will start going to the PSA. And I guess you can do it online. And I need to check this. I don't know whether or not we can actually order copies. But I guess you can check online or order them online. So I need to start looking more into that. But as soon as the birth certificate becomes available for official copies, that we're going to get 4 copies of that. And that way we'll have a copy that I can take and take down to the consulate. We'll have a copy that Papa can take and take down to the I don't know if Papa will be able to do it or if Cindy will have to do it, but whichever one, that they'll be able to take it down to the whatever the Philippine State Department's called, the I want to say tourism, but it's not tourism. Take it down and get a Philippines passport. And that will leave us 2 original copies that we can keep on file here, so that if we need one quickly, we can just lay our hands on a certified copy. Yeah, Jojo, you ain't lying on that one. I did, life got turned on its ear almost 18 months ago. I was here in 2020 in January that I actually went to DFA, Department of Foreign Affairs. There we go. This is where you get passports here. But I was here in January in 2020 for Synalog. And you were hearing a little bit about it, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And then I wound up going back to the States, and we figured we'd be back in just a really short time. And it was in March that all heck started breaking loose, and all the shutdowns and everything came. Uh, and then she wasn't able to go get her dual citizenship because everything shut down. And then we figured, okay, well, when we can get to the Philippines, we'll just do dual citizenship there. And well, uh, the rest of 2020 came and went, and things just got worse and worse. And uh, we finally got out here in October of 2020. That I was actually staying in I was actually staying on the other side of town over by J Center Mall. I can't think of the town of the name of that town. Uh, Mandawi. There we go. I was staying over in Mandawi at a hotel, and came in a few times. That I had to come back and do my annual check in for my 13A, and so I stayed. We got a hotel right close to J Center Mall so that I could go to the uh, Immigration Bureau and do that. And then we went up to Ayala and watched fireworks and stuff like that, and went back and forth like that. Wherever the place we're at that moment, you guys are all definitely welcome. Uh, it'd be really cool to do a huge meetup somewhere. That we're probably gonna. Yeah, I'm horribly changing topics now. You blame Daniel on that one. That when we go back next year, it's definitely going to be 2023 before we come back. That and we'll probably go to Dumaguete and check out Dumaguete for a month. And then one of the trips back, we'd like to go over to Bacolod or Iloilo and check out that area and kind of make a decision on where we'd like to live and start looking for property after that. And that way, when we come back, we would have a place to stay and hopefully have a house at that point. Uh, haven't completely ruled out Moab Wall, but we'd both kind of like to live a little bit closer to a city of some size. Uh, Cebu might be a little too big, except that but that's not completely off the table. Uh, Tomanoi, Tomanoi. Did spell check strike again? Uh, oh, okay. Okay, that's another town over by Moab. Uh, we've actually got another friend that they're from Badian. That they're from Badian. And that's just it. That we would like to spend at least 30 to 90 days someplace before we said we had a fair decision on whether or not we want to stay there. Uh, and the other thing that we need to look at too, because we're actually, if it was just her and I, Moab would definitely be extremely high on the list. Moab probably moves down a little bit more because of the schooling and such like that. But that's something we're going to have to uh, look at and check out and realize that in the next 4 years that's liable to change. A lot of these smaller areas are growing. Dumaguete is actually getting people to leave it because it has grown so much that it's not the small town that they used to love. Philippine Experience in Argyle, uh, that place is growing by leaps and bounds. Uh, and so I guess that may not be a completely off the table. Uh, but like to get to the nearest mall or anything major, you got to go into Karkar or all the way into Cebu City to do. And that is kind of a long trip. Same with Moab is to get anything like that. You got to run back over to Cebu to get it. Dumaguete's got the advantage. A lot of that stuff is there because of Silliman and stuff. And they do have a City Hardware and some things like that. You know, it's not huge. Uh, Bacola's not bad, but it's more Ilongo than Bisaya. And I've heard that there's a couple of towns on that side that are growing quite a bit to the point where, you know, one of the other small areas like Toledo or something like that might be a lot more doable. Uh, but that's part of what we need to do is try and find some of these areas and scope them out more before we go. Valencia out of Dumaguete may be a great alternative. Darwin out of Dumaguete may be a great alternative. Putting everything close enough to where we can get the major stuff we need, uh, and potentially even getting Pumpkin to and from school. And Nasipit, we've got some friends, Agnes and Andy have Phil and some Joe that they're in Nasipit. They're actually doing getting a restaurant, a little restaurant, eatery built. And so a little Carindaria type place. And they're saying, yeah, that's growing quite a bit. I made comment a while ago that I was supposed to go down to that area and get some X-rays, an MRI of my back. Claustrophobic enough that MRIs don't work really well for me if I've got to have my head in there. And they don't have Valium type uh, drugs here, terribly common, that they sedate you. So you have to be admitted. And with the current stuff going on, that wasn't doable. And the next nearest open MRI is in Bislig, or not Bislig. Which one? There we go. Uh, And so I looked at going down there, and yeah, the travel got shut down and all that crap. And to be bluntly honest, it just wasn't worth it. This spring, I may look into it again because I need to get recertified. And if I can, I'll go back down. I'll get with the orthopedic surgeon and go back down this time. If not, I may just ask my retirement board, hey, we're planning on moving back and deal with me and just bear with it for another month or two. I'd like to get back and see my, the U.S. Orthopedic surgeon. Because at this point, there's not a whole lot, there's nothing they can do for it. They all realize it. And I thought about asking about a new MRI back in the States, but decided against it for a couple of reasons. Yeah, I guess, Jojo, I guess he's having the stereotypical Filipino construction issues. Yeah, timeline, what's that? It'll get done when it gets done. I've never been to Mindanao. I wouldn't mind going over there and checking it out. Cindy's got some family over in that area that's kind of shirt tail kin and is the more stereotypical negative Filipino kin. And so we may just say, we may disclude that one from the list for that reason. But yeah, if it wasn't for that, that would probably be on a short list to check out. That CDO would be another place that would probably be on a short list to check out. Malai Blai, Tom and Ruth are up by there. That they love the area. Malai Blai is a lot bigger city than I ever thought it was. So, some of those areas may be a little bit more doable, but because of other issues that we're kind of dismissing that as a possibility. I like most of her family, but I like them way better, stereotypical American, from an arm's length. And that's kind of what we like about staying in Cebu. That's definitely part of what we like about moving over to Negros, that it's close enough we can be here quickly if need be, but far enough removed that we don't have to worry about a knock at the door at dinner time. Yeah, just being honest. Now, I know of a lot of loggers over in that area. I know a lot of people in that area. Kyle from Becoming Filipino has been all over that area, and it's not quite like that. It doesn't deserve the reputation that it's garnered. I have never been to that area before, so I can't say this is a fact there. But even in Manila, here in Cebu, when I stayed up by Clark, the areas that I've been to in the Philippines, I have felt more unsafe in South Phoenix than I do in any of these areas. But that said, I also keep my head about me and don't go into areas that I know is going to make myself unsafe. Yeah, in Mindanao, you've got two different factions. On the Nasipit side, you got the NPA, and over on the Zamboanga side, you've got the radical Muslim area, and so you got two different factions, and you got to be careful which direction you go in. I'm not saying that there aren't any factions out there that you do have to be careful of. There's factions in the south side you got to be careful of. And Daniel, yeah, that when he went down into, there was one place in particular that he was smart enough and aware enough that yeah, he did. He put out information that that's where he was going, and the people asked him, the local authorities asked him, hey, why don't you let us provide you an escort? And so they did. They had, just a small squad of BMP that they, just a couple, three people that were with him, more making their presence known than anything else. And he was laughing and joking with them, and that they were laughing and joking with him. And it was kind of cool. But I'm not saying that there aren't bad areas. I'm not saying that there's areas you probably should stay out of. But I'm just saying to use your head, and I've never felt unsafe here. But that's a key thing. Use your head. Don't be an arrogant twit and expect you can go rambling everywhere. Ned from My Philippine Dreams, that his first girlfriend there, Michelle, was from that area. And he went there a few times, but always went there with her. No, I said always use your head. This one, not the other one. And that's perfectly fine. If I've got a Filipino friend of mine that he'll come to Cebu, he'll go to Bohol and maybe do Magedi, but that's as close as he's ever going to get to Mindanao. And Dumagueti's kind of a marginal, honestly, for him to be that serious. That we were actually looking at possibly getting a place in Malaybalay when we first got here. And he flat out said he'll never, that we'll meet up in Cebu, we'll meet up in Dumaguete, but that he would never go to Mindanao. And so that's perfectly cool. If you're not comfortable with the area, don't go. That's the big thing. And a lot of these areas, if you're not comfortable, they can tell. And just as you can tell if somebody's not comfortable someplace. And when it shows like that, you become a target. And the other thing is, if you go in there and be arrogant or be a jerk, you rapidly become a target too for other reasons. And that's where a lot of problems come out. That there was a lawyer here just recently, shot execution style here in Banawa, where we're at. Not right here, but in this general vicinity. And that's what had happened, is that he had made a couple of bad calls on cases, and he'd made an enemy, and he became a target. Cindy made comment, there was a couple, years ago, there was a couple of shootings that she'd heard about. And as I started talking and asked her questions, then we found out that there were reasons why. Either they were associating with the wrong people, which was a couple of the cases, or that they had offended or made waves in the wrong way. And yeah, that if you do that, I don't care where you are, that's liable to get you in over your head quickly. And here, I hate to say it, I hate to be this blunt. Life is cheap. And so, I hear that it can be an extremely bad thing. Uh, but yeah, it's, yeah, no. Be decent with people here, and these people will be amazingly decent with you. Uh, there was one day that the people out front of our gates, you'll see them periodically when I've done the walking live streams. There was one day I dropped something on the way out, and they recognized that it was mine after I was out of sight. And when I came walking back up, the guys gave it back to me instead of keeping it. But I've done a lot to build respect and community with them. I'll occasionally, if I'm going to Julie's or something like that, I'll grab a dozen Panda Salt and just, hey, share with the guys and stuff like that. We have went way out of our way to build relation and be respectful with these people, and they show it in return. And you couldn't get a more loyal or dedicated people. The fact that I'm trying to learn a little bit of a sign, each time is going miles in building that community with you. That and because of that, I've generally never felt unsafe. I did a walking live stream from the main road through the edge of the squatters village over here, and I didn't feel the least bit uncomfortable or unsafe at all. I started to go down some of the side streets where things got a little more local, and that one I was a little bit nervous about, especially doing the live stream. And so I backed out of it. I've been through there with Papa and didn't have an issue in the world. I would probably go through it without doing the live stream without a problem. But again, it kind of comes down to you're flashing, $300 cell phone and $50 gimbal and other things that you're kind of flashing your wealth in these people's face. And one, that's not cool. And two, you got a lot of people in that area that are very desperate, especially at this point. And desperate people do dumb things. And I recognize that, and I try not to put myself in a situation to encourage dumb things. That I've tried to learn. I'm not doing anywhere near as well as I could. I said that wrong. I'm doing a lot better here than I could back in Phoenix, just simply because I've got a lot more people to speak it with and to hear it from. I hear it from Cindy a lot and can understand what she's saying, but when I have other people speak it to me, it is way more difficult for me to hear. And so that's kind of what I like doing. That's a huge part of what I loved about with Papa and I is he would let me speak what I knew and help me out where I messed up things, but without saying it himself. And when I got in too deep, and these people started, replying real fast and in deeper Visayan, that at that point he would intercede and explain, hey, he's just learning, and bear with him, be patient, and the people generally were. One thing I'll frequently get, especially in the areas like this where you've got different social classes. You'll get a lot of people that will speak to you in English, and that they actually like you to hear their English. Generally, I try to I try to encourage them to let me speak Visayan and correct me where I'm having a problem, and encourage them to speak English, and I'll do the same. That if there's something they said not correctly or not the best, I'll help them with that. But yeah, that when Cindy's parents went to Phoenix, our roommate, a friend of ours, that he's Cajun through and through, and he's been gone from Louisiana for 50 years. Yeah, probably about 50 years now. Really close to it, at least. He left when he was 18. He left when he was 17. And I think he just turned 62 this year. But the accent he still has, that it kind of took Mama and Papa a little bit to get used to that one. Cindy, when she first got to the States, Arizona has about a deadpan accent, that there really isn't a noticeable accent. And so it was a not the accent, but a lot of the word choices that native English speakers do. One of the biggest things that stood out most for her and I when we were building it up is that Visayan really doesn't have time in their language construct, that it's by context that you understand the time, the tense. So the am, is, are, was, were, all that fun stuff was a bit confusing and never terribly well understood. And so we'd be in the middle of doing something, and she would be, that was fun. And I was always a little bit confused. Are we done? Does she think it's over or what? And we finally started talking, and we in other areas we realized that what it was, and that I finally asked her, do you think we're done, and stuff like that, and that's when I started helping with verb tense agreement, so that she understood that and got a lot better with that. That it was done, that was fun and this is fun are two completely different meanings. But I just noticed I've actually been on this for an hour and 15 minutes. Real quick question before I go. Jojo, is there any particular place on either one of those streets that you would like me to go back to tomorrow morning? If so, definitely message me either here or in Facebook, and I will start in that area. Otherwise, I'll just kind of probably pick a random area on not Escario, but the other one, Katipunan, because I know I haven't been in Katipunan Street. That Escario, I did a video from a while ago. I did a walking live stream a month or two ago. It's been since we moved in here, so it's been the last 2 months. But with that said, for now, from Toad Ship Compound, mabuhay.